You're welcome to have one of these too. They'll be sitting out here at the end of the program. Could be.
We just got that one.
It's our full summer brochure that tells you. The next big thing that we have will be our star events coming up at Alder Grove. And we're doing one. Yeah, and it's really mixed, and we get a whole. If it's a starry night, we'll get out the royal astronomers. Yeah, go ahead. You can start. Okay? He started. You're next. Where you go? Okay. Next. There you go. Tic-tac-toe. He's got the first one. And I'm a park interpretation leader with Metro Vancouver Regional Parks. And I'd like to welcome you very much to Derby Reach Regional Park. It's just one of 21 parks that we have in our system. And we're delighted that you're here today. For time today is that we're going to begin with the presentation in just a few minutes. And then after that, what's going to happen is this will be about half an hour roughly, and then we're going to head outside on the Fort to Fort Trail, and we'll take a walk, and we're going to take you down into some prime toad habitat in one of the ponds in the park. And we're also going to give you an opportunity to see some tadpoles and possibly some little toadlets as well. So we're pretty excited about learning more about the western toad. We've already learned a lot. Isabel's going to share. I thought I'd begin. I'll begin today while we're working with the computer by doing a little frog rap for you. It goes like this. I am a little frog, started as a pollywog. I like to make the sound because the ladies come around. I ribbit, ribbit here, I ribbit, ribbit there. I ribbit, ribbit all night long because love is in the air. My peeps, they start as eggs, turn into tadpoles with no legs. They breathe through tiny gills, eating algae gives them thrills. Yo, we metamorphosize, you can see it with your eyes. Our back legs come up first, then our front legs seem to burst. Then we change up what we eat. From green plants we turn to meat, and by meat I mean some bugs, flies, mosquitoes, even slugs. By summer's end we are done with our transformation. Then we'll sleep until next spring when once again we'll start to sing. Peace out. Introduce you today. Isabel DeGeese, right here. She's a professional biologist who's volunteered her time to come out because just recently she was a master's student at the University of British Columbia where she did her research on
why do amphibians matter in general? Well, as I mentioned, they're great, and as Lori mentioned too, and in the brochures and stuff, they're very important indicators of the environment. And why is that? As I mentioned, because they're so sensitive and they have none of this protective covering. Everything comes in and out through their skin. And so that means that they're very vulnerable to what's in the environment. So amphibians are often used as the first indicators. So if they're sick, it usually means that something is not very good. Something's not going well because they're so sensitive. They're one of the first ones to be affected. Also, they play an important role in the food web. They're right in the middle, so they consume some smaller things. I'll talk about that in a second too, like insects and bugs and other things. But they also get eaten by things up above them. So they're quite an important food source for a lot of other things. So, you guys want to know some neat facts? As Lori mentioned, all toads are frogs, but not all frogs are toads. So frogs are pretty much the overarching classification for all of these four-legged hopping creatures. And toads is just a little grouping of those. And most of the toads, you can recognize them. I'll talk to that a little bit more. But some of the important characteristics of toads are all those funny bumps on their back that look like warts. You can tell them apart with that. And most toads as well will have these glands on the back here that actually secrete kind of poison. So we'll talk about that too, but those are some of the reasons that you can tell toads apart.
Did you think that a frog would eat a dragonfly? Absolutely. I wonder if they fly over the water as much.
that gets mainly its feed from rainwater. And just a perfect place. They tend to have a dirt bottom, and toads really like sort of a sandy, gravelly bottom. And so they usually lay their eggs on plants somewhat close to the edge of the pond. And so you're looking at, if you were a toad looking for real estate, you would say, I'd pay $1 million for this. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, so oh. I didn't know if they spent time together, but it is. Yeah, they do.
You just jumped. You can actually see. Do you see him swimming right there?
Yeah.
You just saw him jump. The bullfrog? Yeah, he's out over there making a bit of. He just jumped.
Yeah, he's a big son.
Yeah.
Yep. Can you see him there? Where he's jumping?
Oh, there he goes. Yeah.
And there's mammals that like to eat toads as well. Raccoons will eat toads given an opportunity. And I found some actual raccoon tracks along the edge of this pond. And they're just up this way. And maybe what we can do is just take some turns to go and look at them. And know the name of this plant too that's right beside us?
Cattails?
Excellent. That's exactly what it is. Cattail. And did you know that you can eat cattail? The very top part that has the top of the flower that gets pollen, you can add that to flour and make cattail pancakes. Or you can actually, if you know that the wetland's clean and safe, you can pull up the cattails and eat them just like celery. They're a little bit peppery tasting. You have to make sure though the water where you're picking them from is clean, clean, clean. Because they do tend to absorb heavy metals, those things. So what's that?
Cattails are something that you might find a robin sitting.
Do you think?
That's what we heard, right? Okay. Press one and then give it to other kids.
Most of it, really.
Why don't you?
Bring around the toad tadpoles for you to see, and then I'm going to come around with some toadlets, and Isabel will as well. Here's the thing though, you will probably be very tempted to want to touch them, but why shouldn't we touch them? What did Isabel tell us about toads and frogs?
They might get something from us.
That's right, they have very sensitive skin. You might have sunscreen on, who knows, maybe you've got bug spray on, or just even touching. Sometimes they're so tiny you might think, oh, I'll just touch it, and you might actually break it.
You're expecting them to cross the road over there.
If the weather keeps up nice like this, I'd be there.
You know what, they feel safer when they're with their brothers and sisters. Oh, that's American toad, that one.
Push the bullfrog.
They sound really different.
That's the upland
They make a
forest.
song and they
Push
do
the
call
button.
for
This is
females.
monsters.